Hello, I'm Yoko, and welcome to year 20 of GalaxyClan, which I am amazed to see that we've made it this far. I'm so happy at the fandom we've created. Also, GalaxyClan's upload schedule is officially changing to the first Sunday of each month now. Sorry for the inconvenience. And real quick, pardon the ads, but if you missed it, I made a bunch of new Pride designs that are on stickers and other stuff that are up on Redbubble right now, which is one of the many links that are below the video. And thank you to everyone that did buy something. I really appreciate it, and a lot more of you bought something than I expected. Well, Pride Month is over. These designs will be staying up forever, so check them out if you're interested. Also, for anyone doing art fight, I am Team Stardust, linked below. But fair warning, there is no way I'll be able to revenge everyone, and I'll mostly be focusing on the other team. Sadly, I just get a lot of attacks. But back to Galaxy, and I'm just going to say, kitten boom free, are you kidding me? Also, I have an animatic section that is a couple Dark Forest interactions that mostly didn't really interact with living cats, so they wouldn't really come up anywhere else if I didn't do this, so let's just hop into it. Minor blood warning for some parts. Rainbow Kit was messing around running through various dreams, just exploring, when they ended up in a strange place. They saw an unfamiliar cat and looked at them confused. She introduced herself as Frecklespot and said that she's their kin and that she's here to guide them with their special gift they've been given. Frecklespot shrieked suddenly when Osprey Claw ran by, slicing her side. Osprey Claw opened a dreamscape and told Rainbow Kit to go tell their mom that a cat named Frecklespot is trying to talk to them. And before Rainbow Kit could respond, Osprey Claw quickly pushed them into the dream, turning back towards Frecklespot. With Rainbow Kit gone, Frecklespot slashed Osprey Claw's ear in anger, hissing as Osprey Claw ignored her and left in a different dream, angry at this brat's nerve of getting in her way. Later in the year, Snipcloud had snuck out of ViperClan's part of the forest, determined to find someone before Butterfly Paw did. He arrived as his son Ryeko, who just died, blinked open his eyes. Snipcloud gave him no time to process before telling him to get up and rushing him to follow. They ran alongside the StarClan border, being physically unable to pass it as Snipcloud scanned looking for anyone. His heart stopped when he saw someone, but he had no time to be emotional. Fernheart was surprised to see her son, but before she could say anything, Snipcloud redirected her attention to Ryeko, saying ViperClan as a whole is unknowingly run by the Dark Forest and that his son has done nothing to rot here, urging her quickly to grant him access to StarClan and take him to wherever the ViperClan cats that are in StarClan live. Fernheart was shocked into action quickly, doing as she was told, but she yelled at Snipcloud to come back as he ran away back into the forest. He kept running until eventually coming face to face with Butterfly Paw. She had an unnerving face as she asked where he was, with a calmness that didn't match her expression. Before Snipcloud could say anything, Frecklespot showed up, rolling her eyes and looking upset as she said, he wanted to be the first to greet his son, but those fox-hearted StarClan cats stole him. Butterfly Paw said how sad Pikefleck would be over not getting to see his brother, reassuring Snipcloud that the rest of his family will surely stay with the clan here. Snipcloud unable to say anything and trying to hide his anger at Frecklespot coming to bail him out of trouble. On another moon, Frostlichen was nervously wandering the forest when he froze at the voice of a cat calling his name. Hollowstar had no emotion to his voice as he asked what traitorous action Frostlichen did under his nose that made him end up here. Before Frostlichen could respond, Osprey Claw arrived and asked, does it really matter since Hollowstar was never the listening type? She got up to his face and said he has no right to judge the cats he failed to lead, and since he was so quick to hide information while he was alive, then he should stay in the dark himself. As Osprey Claw walked away, she called back that they're all here in the Dark Forest for some reason or another, and at this point they can either get worse or do what they can to get better. And it's up to Hollowstar what he chooses to do now. So yeah, had to get that all out because that's very important information. Frecklespot and Osprey Claw were both licking wounds at the same time, so I knew they had a fight of some kind. Snipcloud seems to be improving, but he's still trapped in a tangle of snakes that Butterfly Paw has made. Side note, in my universe, I say that the Dark Forest cats cannot physically enter StarClan unless they are granted access, like Stoneleaf was. StarClan cats, however, can go into the Dark Forest if they want to, but it is very dangerous there. But yeah, that's basically the Dark Forest information that wouldn't really be mentioned throughout the video because it has barely any connection to the other cats. So for now, let's sadly head into StarClan. Which, first up, is Spam, who died at 64 moons old, and I am so sad. I wanted her to stick around longer. I kind of really liked her. She was killed by rogues, and I feel like that was since she killed a rogue last year during the ambush. But before she died, Spam actually ate prey on patrol and came back to Rooster Tail and Oriole Chirp, giving her suspicious stares. But on another moon, she was lightening the mood with shenanigans, so she really wasn't that serious, it seems, but I don't think she was like a silly cat. She did seem to have a friendship with Lizard Snap despite this, and speaking of Lizard Snap, sadly, she also died at 90 moons old, and she died on the first patrol that I sent her on since she got blinded. I was rolling each moon to see if she felt ready to go patrol yet, and on the moon that she felt ready to leave camp again, she wanted to spend time with Spam. And then they were both murdered by rogues, and I screamed. I'm so sorry, girls. Also, extremely interesting, Spam and Lizard Snap are two cats that got scarred last year by rogues. And then it seems the rogues came back and finished the job. I'm extremely sad that Lizard Snap died because she left behind 4 kits that she had with Stone Star. She died when they were only 2 moons old, and I feel really bad for Stone Star, but we'll get to her later. But speaking of their kits, sadly their daughter Rocky Paw also died this year at only 9 moons old. She had the constantly climbing trait, and she actually went from Daydreamer as a kit to Strict and ended up as Sneaky. A lot of the cats this year kind of changed personality a lot, from kit to apprentice and even within apprentice. She had been apprenticed to Fuzzy Flake, and they saw a kitty pet on their first day out. She was a bit behind her siblings training-wise, and she did end up dying as an apprentice, but I checked what her name would have been, and it was Rocky Dawn. Unfortunately, this is where I revealed that I had to run a manual mass extinction due to overpopulation. So I made an updated harsh winter generator, and Rocky Paw died when she fell off a cliff after slipping on the snow while desperately trying to catch prey. She was just trying to feed the clan, and since she's sneaky, I feel like she snuck out when it was snowing on her own. I will say in StarClan, it said that she was spending time with Roachpaw, so it's nice to see her hanging out with another tragic apprentice that we have. But yeah, I'm so sad that she died because she looked a lot like Cinderpetal despite having no biological relation to him. But next up is, sadly, the Free Moon Old Whirl Kit. He was a sweet kit who was oddly insightful and a picky nest builder. He apparently wouldn't hurt a fly, and he died of sickness during Leafbare. This is where I also say that Bubbling Mark joined GalaxyClan and immediately had kits, one being him. In-game, they were biologically Oriole Chirp and Bubbling Marks, but I split the litters since litters can have 2 dads. And Whirl Kit looked so much like Midnight Lilac, but with Snipcloud's eye color. And I will say, as sad as Whirl Kit's death is, all 3 of his parents and his siblings somehow survived the mass extinction, and he is the only kitten death this year. So at least there's that. His full name would have been Whirl Spirit, and I'm sad to see him go. And sadly, next up is Abyss Watcher, who died of green cough at 38 moons old. She got some holly from Pebblejoy to wear, and she also took on a dog and was barely even hurt. But concerningly, she did violently tear up her prey one moon, but then she got an apprentice who was a bit of a handful, and she kind of turned into an intimidating mentor, but she meant well. She had an interesting patrol the moon before she died, where she was telling her apprentice about the warrior code, and asked if they considered what a rule truly meant. Would they follow it to their death, to a friend's, to a kit's? And have they truly reflected on their dedication to the code? And overall, it kind of felt pretty intense. I also did have Kale get her dislike of Scavenger down a decent amount, and I did see that Abyss Watcher had a small crush on Swan Song before she died, which makes me sad. But also, I don't know how she would have reacted if she found out he killed Thunder Spirit, so maybe that was for the best they didn't get together. And I'm so sad because next up is Little Lion, who died of green cough at 26 moons old. And I think she was sick with yellow cough first because during the J-Clan stream, it was mentioned that one of our medicine cats was asking for herbs to help with a yellow cough outbreak around that time. And Little Lion had statuses that she was in the medicine cat den and then that she was grateful to her Snake Eye for her treatment. But going back in time, she was seen touching noses with a J-Clan cat, and while she did die, I checked in age-wise, I think that was one of Bright Chatter's siblings, so either the Sneaky She-Cat Peak Spirit or the Cold Tom Condor Call. Not quite sure. I will say if it was Condor Call, he also died this year, so that would be tragic. But Little Lion had also gotten an apprentice that she was having fun with. But yeah, I'm so sad. I'm going to miss her, but continuing with this pain. Both of her parents died this year. Fuzzy Flake dying at 71 moons old after he was caved in by snow, and Gold Dazzle also dying to green cough at 73 moons old. Fuzzy Flake was still having a hard time in the beginning of the year and asked Gold Dazzle why StarClan ignores him, but she reassured him and he got a little better throughout the year. And then these two actually had a second litter, this time having free boys instead of free girls, which I found really funny. Gold Dazzle reassured Bubbling Mark that she's a good teacher, and I'm pretty sure that had to do with Bubbling Mark being a new mom. Gold Dazzle and Fuzzy Flake also loudly cheered for their kits at their apprentice ceremonies, but going back to Fuzzy Flake, he was giving advice to Stone Star, which I took as he was telling her the small bit of information he knew about Osprey Claw in the Dark Forest. He doesn't know much, but he did want to tell the leader. Later, he was given Rocky Paw as an apprentice, so it seems Stone Star really trusted him. He also chased away a small dog that bit a clanmate and gave advice to both Branch Deer and Scavenger 2 throughout the year. So Fuzzy Flake was really just the advice guy this year. But I'm sad to see these two go. At least they died at the same time. But continuing with the family, they also lost a kit from their second litter. Their son, Junko Paw, who died at 7 moons old when he was killed by a desperate fox. He was a know-it-all kit that became an ambitious apprentice. He was also an avid play fighter and a mossball hunter. He was apprenticed to Oopsie Daisy and blood warning for a pick in Free 2-1. He defended his brother from a large dog on his first patrol, the older cat's doing most of the actual work though. And the picture is gone. He was actually pretty close with that brother, and they had the same kit and apprentice personalities, but his brother needed a little extra support and Junko Paw was protective of him. I'm so sad that we lost that duo because I thought the duality was really cute. Junko Paw's full name would have been Junko Chasm, which sounds pretty cool. But sadly, his mentor Oopsie Daisy also died at 115 moons old, and she did end up asking Kale out earlier in the year, but she got rejected. It didn't seem like she was that hurt by it though, and I think she took it well. I think her age was starting to hit her though, and she realized she was getting close to retirement because she started sucking up to Stone Star and Ghost Snow by offering to lead every patrol, and she was catching the most prey on the patrols that she was on. She was also given Junko Paw as an apprentice, so I do think that she was trying to do her best before she had to retire. Sadly, her dedication to doing her best to care for the clan was her downfall, and Oopsie Daisy was hit by a monster while chasing prey. I'm so sad to see her go. She was a good cat. But sadly, another couple died, and Scavenger died at 73 moons old, being buried in snow alongside Fuzzy Flake, and her mate Guppy Shade died at 64 moons old after being caught in a winter storm. I also don't think Scavenger should have been sent to the Dark Forest despite murdering a cat. She was running off a lot of emotions and a mother's adrenaline, so she's in StarClan. Starting on Guppy Shade, her tail was badly injured by a dog early in the year, and later she had a suggestion for Stone Star, which was right before her kits were apprenticed, so I'm wondering if she was suggesting mentors maybe? She was also watching fish in a nearby river, which made me smile because, well, her name is Guppy Shade. And on Scavenger's end, she had a couple successful night hunts with her mate, and seemed to be trying to do better from what happened last year. She overdid a training session and was wincing all day, and then she was grateful for Todd for treatment, which was around the time that we did have a yellow cough outbreak, so I think she was one of the cats that had caught it. She didn't have any J-Clan interactions and seemed to just be trying to be a better influence on her kits. But yeah, sad to see these two go. Also sad is that Rushwind died at 55 moons old, but let's go in order of timeline. So early in the year, a kitty pet brought his kits to the clan and Rushwind adopted them in-game, and if you remember, I used those events to get around not having the settings on for where they could just have kits with cats outside the clan. So Rushwind followed in their dad Wormshade's paw steps and apparently had a mate outside the clan, who is a trans man kitty pet named Marsh, and they had 2 kits with him. And I did edit Marsh to be alive, so he might join the clan at some point. But not so fun fact, their kits joined at 4 moons old, and timeline-wise, these kits were born on the same moon that the rogues attacked us last year. So yeah, that adds some more context to Rushwind's stress last year. But beyond the love drama, Rushwind had a nightmare about the rushing river, the moon that we actually ended up finding a cat that was washed here by the river. So that was an interesting vision. They also got an apprentice, but unfortunately the apprentice got hurt on the first patrol they were out. And then Rushwind died. This family is cursed. They died trapped in a winter storm just like Wormshade, Lavender Heather, and Ottertail. Keep their kits out of the snow, please. Or at least the living one, because sadly their son Sleep Trot died at 11 moons old when he was also caught by a desperate fox like Junko Paw was. And he did die as an apprentice, but since he was over 10 moons old, I did grant him his name in StarClan. He was constantly climbing and had an insecure to loyal transition in personality as he trained. As a kit, he didn't want to be an apprentice because he was afraid of disappointing the clan. And then he was apprenticed the Little Lion and caught a bird on his first day out after passing a quiz on the best way of approaching it. He later was making the apprentices laugh at the expense of himself. And the moon before he died, he was scolded for sneaking out of camp, and I did send him out alone to see why he might have snuck out. And apparently, he was busy thinking over a StarClan dream, which I think was more about something his sister told him rather than a dream he had himself. And he might have been coming to the realization that the clan was about to face a harsh Leafbare tragedy. But yeah, I'm sad to see him and Rushwind die. Once again, the Lavender Wisp bloodline is on the shoulders of one cat, but we'll get to her later. And next up, I'm sad to say Vixenfoot died at 28 moons old, and real quick, I'm sorry to the people who thought she was safe because I had a rename poll for a cat named Vixen Kit. He was born before she died, so he had no reason to be named after her, so he needed a rename. But beyond that, she was scarred by a small dog that Fuzzy Flake ended up chasing away, and then later she planned on visiting the medicine cats, where 2 moons later, she adopted, quote-unquote, a litter of kittens that were left to the clan. How did that happen twice in 1 year? But I will be honest, I edited the ages of the kits down to be newborns so that I could say that she gave birth to them on that moon, because it fit better timeline-wise. And I did just say that the other parent was Bright Chatter in J-Clan, who she had been seen touching noses with last year, and I edited the random cat who was the parent in-game to be him, because the random kits in general actually did kind of look like they would have been his kids. But Bright Chatter is in the outside the clan section, but hasn't joined the clan yet. So we'll see if he ends up joining at some point. Also, hypocritically, Vixenfoot was actually appalled at a clanmate for blatantly lying, and I think that might have been her sister, Micah Shatter, because it seems the two were drifting apart, sadly. These two were just not talking or being honest with each other, I swear, but sadly, Vixenfoot died of green cough, leaving her kits without their mom and their dad in another clan. And I swear we're almost at the end, but unfortunately Firefog also died at 87 moons old, and I'll get to how later. He had been listening about the nature of StarClan and prophecies with his mate Snake Eye, and attempted to playfully bug her about recent prophecies, but she just laughed and got him back on task. I think they both knew that their child Rainbow Paw at that point was special, and he was trying to see if she had any insider knowledge of if they had a future prophesized leader on their hands. After that, he was given an apprentice, and together they saved an injured cat. He was a bit disappointed that Ghost Snow seemed to have his head in the clouds during a training session, but he didn't say anything. And then he saved Todd from a fox, but was hurt. And while Snake Eye was happy he saved Todd, she did give him a silent glare that read, "What did I say about fighting foxes?" But then Firefog had the status that he was itching for excitement, but that is extremely unfortunate because it was on that moon that he was killed by a mountain lion. Yeah, a mountain lion killed 3 cats this year during the harsh Leafbare generator, and last up in StarClan is the other 2 victims. Whisker Gleam died at 118 moons old, and Branch Deer died at 111 moons old. And they did actually become mates before, and they've been together for most of the year before this. The moon before they got together, Branch Deer got advice from Fuzzy Flake, which I believe was probably about Whisker Gleam. And the next moon, Whisker Gleam asked him out and was glowing with pride as the clan congratulated them. They went on a cute training date where Branch Deer noticed that Whisker Gleam was watching him instead of the sunset, and he smiled. It really seemed like the two were at peace this year, and I am happy to report that Hope Fern didn't have any statuses that implied that she was messing with them in any way. It seems she finally just let Branch Deer be happy and free from her, and I'm happy to see that. Also, Whisker Gleam continued to be a girl boss because she saved Rooster Tail from being buried in a landslide. Love that for her. But as strong and tough as these two were, they had no chance against a mountain lion. And I'm so sad. I wanted Branch Deer to retire so badly and just be the clan grandpa, and he was finally happy for once. Also, Branch Deer had the status in StarClan that he was watching over the clan with Fernheart, and I think that's really sweet that those two are still getting along. But yeah, that's all the death this year. I was not okay. But on to the living cats. Starting with Stone Star, and this poor girl, she's 98 moons old now and just going in order of the year. One of the first things she did as leader was make an announcement that if anyone had any information that they kept quiet out of fear from Hollowstar, she is here to listen to them. and they can reach out to her in private when they are ready. And a couple cats have, like Fuzzy Flake. And I'll get into who exactly told her stuff as we go throughout the clan. But then she had 4 kits and things were good until Lizard Snap was killed by rogues. And then Stone Star thought she was going crazy. She ended up taking an offer from Ghost Snow to take over some of the more leading duties for a bit while she grieved for a couple moons. He was sad too, but he was much more level-headed at the time. And that worked out great, with her taking a bit to process, and then she was back on her feet as a proper leader. And she's doing good, all things considered. Also, J-Clan brought back lost GalaxyClan kits despite what happened last year, and I think they were her ones. But the harsh Leafbare was devastating, and Stone Star lost a life to Green Cough along with her daughter Rocky Paw. But she didn't break down as much as earlier in the year, and she feels comfort knowing that she does have help when she needs it. She also took over training an apprentice that is having a really tough time after everything, knowing that he needs someone kind right now. Overall, despite all the sadness and loss, Stone Star is doing pretty well, all things considered. Deputy time. Ghost Snow is still standing strong at 61 moons old as deputy, and he was unsure how other cats were thinking of him early in the year. And he was actually talking to a StarClan cat while overseeing Firefog and his apprentice's training, which led to them thinking that Ghost Snow had his head in the clouds. And that cat was Cavern Bounce, who was telling his brother bits and pieces about what Frostlycan had gotten wrapped up in, explaining that while he had made mistakes and while he wouldn't want to be mates again, he doesn't think that Frostlycan deserved the Dark Forest. But Cavern Bounce didn't know everything, so it's still a bit fuzzy. Ghost Snow relayed this information to his mom, Stone Star, so she has a bit more of an idea of what happened to Frostlycan's mystery death. He was then given one of his younger siblings as an apprentice, and he's been a great mentor and older brother. He also has been using stories of the old to guide his decisions, and in general, it seems like StarClan connection has been getting stronger. But yeah, Ghost Snow is doing his best as deputy, and I think he's doing great. But medicine den time. Snake Eye is still the head medicine cat at 85 moons old, and earlier in the year, she was surprised to find out her kit can walk in dreams, and also that Frecklespot tried to reach out to them. She sat them down and gave a history lesson to prevent any manipulation later. She asked Rainbow Kid if they wanted to be a medicine cat with the gifts they were given, and supported when they said no, wishing them well as a warrior. She was also very confused hearing Rainbow Kit describe what sounded like Osprey Claw being in the Dark Forest and being who sent them away. All of this information being reported to Stone Star, and this combined with Fuzzy Flake's account has the higher-ups of the clan knowing that Osprey Claw is in the Dark Forest for an unknown reason, and seems to be making living cats leave when they are being manipulated. Todd quickly gained full medicine cat status, and Snake Eye actually got another apprentice, who we'll get to later. But Snake Eye has been busy checking on many hurt warriors and dealing with outbreaks of sickness. She also caught Green Cough, but she did survive it. But sadly, she lost her dad, her mate, and her medicine cat friend Rat Splinter from J-Clan this year. And she's trying to do her best to keep it together, but Todd has mentioned that if she needs a rest, she can take over things for a bit. Speaking of, Todd is 40 moons old and has become a full medicine cat, and like I said, she just kept her name as Todd. She also has hyacinths now, and we're going to ignore that they are toxic because most plants are toxic to cats, and these are pretty. Also, Todd had a very interesting year. She had the status of realizing what an omen might mean 3 times this year, and Flamebear was walking in her dreams. I think he was trying to tell her that the clan is becoming too overpopulated and a disaster awaited them if they did nothing about it. But on a less scary and more exciting note, a StarClan cat was also walking in her dreams, and of all cats it could be, it was Frogdapple, our permaqueen StarClan guide who hasn't actually been the guide in the code for a couple years, and I've been waiting to see if she has any statuses that would make her plot relevant. And this is the perfect time for her to finally have something. While Flamebear was spreading paranoia, Frogdapple shows up and guides Todd to the right side, explaining this clan was founded protecting kits. And with life will come death. It's not something for cats to take into their own paws. Basically saying that, yes, disaster is coming, but that is natural and the clan will survive. Todd told Snake Eye of this, who then also had the status of knowing what an omen might mean, and together they informed Stone Star that they were to expect hard times soon. Todd also took Swan Song to help her gather rosemary at the clan's burial grounds, and she might have noticed that he was acting off, but she doesn't know what exactly that might mean. Also, Todd came out as asexual this year, and in a PG way of explaining this, she rolled to be more on the apathetic than repulsed side of the spectrum at the idea of kits. So she could still have kits in the future if she or a partner really wants to. Asexuality is a spectrum and all that. Also, I will be making a sticker for my Redbubble despite Pride Month being over because I didn't have an asexual sticker yet. So that should be made soonish, look out for that. But on to our youngest medicine cat. Meet the confident Cragpaw, who is 12 moons old with an active imagination. She's Rushwind and Marsh's kit, and the thought of hurting another cat made her shiver. So she decided she wanted to heal, not fight. On her first day out, Snake Eye waited until they were out of camp to explain that they were getting catmint to avoid not-so-helpful helpers. Snake Eye teaching her that it must be gathered before the frost and showing her some of the stems that had already looked discolored. Cragpaw later caught a kit that was climbing too high, but was also wondering if she's good enough to be a medicine cat. She was afraid to go to a higher branch to collect juniper a moon after a cat broke their leg, but Snake Eye is very encouraging of her. On the moon before the harsh Leafbare, she was giving somber advice to a fellow apprentice, which I believe was her brother Sleeppaw, which related to him thinking about a StarClan message that I mentioned earlier. Cragpaw is sad to lose Rushwind and Sleeppaw, and was caught outside clan territory on the last moon of the year, which I assume was her visiting her dad Marsh and telling him the sad news. Hoping she does better next year, and I kind of hope that her dad joins the clan so she has some immediate family here. But mediator time. Kale is now 147 moons old, and he's actually doing pretty good now. They did fail to resolve some things in J-Clan early in the year, only making them more upset. But past that, things are pretty good. And I'm always looking for more things that mediators could do in general. And it seems Kale has been interested in helping some of the newer kits with some of their disabilities. Wanting to get to know one of Gold Dazzle's sons and spotting another lonely kit, inviting them to watch her perform her duties. I think Kale has been helping think of ways to help support those that need it, and I kind of love it. They also did a good job of smoothing over some of the dislikes within the clan, and I'm happy to report no murders this year. At least in GalaxyClan, the other clans are still messy, but that's not for here. Also, Kale got some herbs in-game, but I'm a bit tired of the basic accessories, so I might pick something from Life Gen instead, since there are more options there. So that being said, Kale has ferns now. Kale also has an apprentice who he really likes, but I'm drawing him in the apprentice then, because he has kin there that kind of needs him right now. But with that said, on to the warriors. And first up is a new face, the 65-moon-old Righteous Turtle Pelt, who is a good speaker and a great mediator. And this is where I say we lost like all of our senior warriors, and that is horrible. I'm scared. But Turtlepelt joined the clan with his history section saying that he was washed away from his former home by a flood. And technically in-game, he was found injured on a thunder path, but I'm changing that to say that we found him washed up by the river, based on that backstory. Immediately after he joined, Midnight Lilac wanted to critique his fighting techniques, but Turtlepelt also chased out a small dog alongside Fuzzy Flake that had hurt Vixenfoot. He's also been hoping to help guide his clanmates down the right path, and overall, he seems like a nice guy. He also currently has a small one-sided crush on Todd, so we'll see if that goes anywhere in the future. Next up is Oriole Chirp, who is now 50 moons old, and Midnight Lilac, who is now 49 moons old. And Bubbling Mark joined the clan, but she's in the nursery right now. I am extremely surprised that all three of them survived my manual mass extinction, but I'm really happy that the poly couple wasn't immediately broken up. Midnight Lilac did get frostbite on his tail though. Oriole Chirp found some blueberries and decided to keep them, and that reminds me so much of his brother Blue Kit. After Bubbling Mark joined, I sent them all on patrol together, where it said that they had an unproductive hunting patrol, but, well, what a wonderful afternoon they had together. No regrets. They were just happy to officially be together and all live together in the same clan. When Bubbling Mark announced kits, Oriole Chirp was excited for the next gathering, so I assume he wants to share the news, and they're still on decent good terms with Bubbling Mark's family. And then Bubbling Mark was craving the taste of mouse on the same moon that Midnight Lilac tripped and embarrassed himself, which I fully believe was him trying to catch her food. These two are both great dads and mates in general, and I'm sad that they lost one of their kits. Midnight Lilac lost his brother in Viper Clan, Rye Echo, and it seems he named a kit after him. Midnight Lilac was also given Abyss Watcher's apprentice to take over training after her death. Which, speaking of Abyss Watcher, her brother Roostertail is now 39 moons old, and I'm a little scared because it seems like one person in the Wigglebutt family has been dying every year, and I hope that's just a coincidence. But beyond that, Roostertail also got an apprentice this year, and they were a handful. They snuck out on their own, leading to Roostertail looking for them and getting hurt by a fox. And on another time, Roostertail got annoyed and tired of them, saying they didn't understand how a technique worked, and he just performed it flawlessly to get them to be quiet and listen. And then Whisker Gleam saved Roostertail from being buried in a landslide, so this guy has kind of had a rough year. As for his seeming romance rivalry that he has with Micah Shatter, I had Kale mediate without allowing romantic feelings, and Roostertail and Micah Shatter no longer dislike each other. Thank you, Kale. And while Roostertail is crushing more than ever on Hop, he also later developed on his own a small crush on Micah Shatter. So I'm still keeping an eye on all of these guys. But as for Hop, he's 33 moons old now, and he also got an apprentice this year. Roostertail, Hop, and Micah Shatter actually all became mentors at the exact same time, and I swear Stone Star did that on purpose to get them closer. Hop was scolding some apprentices for not taking the warrior code seriously, and then the next moon he investigated a two-leg that fell and was yowling in pain. This guy is too sweet for his own good, and he actually ended up kidnapped by two legs because of that, but he immediately came back home the next year, pulled a cinnamon feather, so he didn't end up getting fixed. Thank you, Clan Gen, for the good luck. Hop also caught Greencough during the outbreak, but he's still alive, and he is still crushing on both Roostertail and Micah Shatter. But moving on to the 30-moon-old Swansong, he was given an apprentice when a cat joined in the clan at only 10 moons old. And Swansong chased out a rogue with anger, later becoming angrier after Lizard Snap and Spam were killed by rogues. Then Osprey Claw was walking in his dreams, and I think she might have given him a reality check because he seemed less aggressive afterwards. He helped gather Rosemary with Todd, where she did notice him acting strange. And I'm trying to keep an eye on Thunder Spirit and StarClan, but I'll be honest, the in-depth mediator thoughts aren't really that helpful. But on that moon, Thunder Spirit was wishing they could help the clan solve their problems. And later, Swansong was eavesdropping on Micah Shatter, and he found out that she was another kit manipulated by Flamebear. But those two are actually really close friends. Side note, don't ship them, they're related. Most of the clan is, have to clear that up because I see people saying that in the comments. There's a family tree if you want to try to figure that out, link below. But towards the end of the year, Swansong actually sat down with Micah Shatter and told her that he knew her secret, as well as confessing his own secret that he pushed Thunder Spirit off a cliff in a fit of anger that he regrets now and seems to be haunted by. And then in the same conversation, he asked if Micah Shatter ever thought about running away from her past, and asked if she would leave the clan with him. She told him no, and he asked her to please not reveal what he said, and she's been quiet so far. Swansong seems to want to run away instead of face his actions, but I'm interested to see where this goes from here. But next up is Pebblejoy, who is now 27 moons old, and she's honestly been really nice and helpful to most of the cats this year. She gave that holly to Abyss Watcher. She was also preparing the perfect gift for a friend one moon. She seems to be helping out in the medicine cats by offering to fetch herbs for them, and on a different moon, bringing back a much-needed herb after she was on a hunting patrol. Which, considering that her sister Little Lion and her mom Gold Dazzle died of green cough this year, that is kind of sad. Also, I don't know what it is with the game deciding that she's the cat everyone confesses murder to, but in-game, Micah Shatter told Pebblejoy about her killing Pond, which is what Swansong overheard. Pebblejoy promised not to out her like Gusburst, but she did encourage Micah Shatter to talk to Stone Star about it. We'll see if she did later. But yeah, Pebblejoy lost a lot of family this year, but in general, she's a sweetheart. She really reminds me of her dad, Fuzzy Flake, and her grandpa, Meringue. Moving on to her sister, Gusburst. She seems to be doing better, but she is still having a rough time. First off, she gave a really sweet gift to Micah Shatter, which we'll get to later. These two definitely seem to have bonded with their share of drama. But Gusburst was playing Moss Ball with a lonely kit, which made me smile, and Stone Star must have seen this because she was given that kit as an apprentice later. And she was a bit rowdier than Gusburst was prepared for, but seemed to get her to be a bit more bold in general. Unfortunately, towards the end of the year, Gusburst was actually scarred by a badger while out on patrol with her apprentice and Roostertail. And then her parents and two siblings died, so the year didn't end great, but she's been taking steps forward, healing from Flamebear. She did also properly talk about everything with Stone Star, despite it already having been revealed, which was kind of healing for her. But moving on to our new warriors, starting with a new face, here is the 20-moon-old confident Chris Drizzle, who is a good speaker with natural intuition. He used to be a kitty pet named Chris before he joined at only 10 moons old and becoming apprenticed to Swansong. Side note, by the way, he's a shorter cat but not a munchkin cat. He's kind of modeled after my cat Pippi. As I mentioned earlier, he saw Swansong chase out a rogue on their first proper day out, but then he got scarred by a fox, so kind of a violent apprenticeship in general. He also came out as a trans guy almost immediately after joining, and he was named for his independence during his warrior ceremony. He was later building up his clanmates' confidence in battle and got roped into watching one of the kits on another day. During the harsh Leafbare, he found a rat digging in a frozen pile of two-legged crow food, and despite the hunger in clan, he refused to catch it, seeing that it was diseased. Good call for a young cat, but yeah, I kind of love him. Next up, here's the 16-moon-old newly named Rainbow Flare, who came out as non-binary this year. They are troublesome and a dreamwalker like Osprey Claw. And side note, love them getting a fire-related name like their dad Firefog. As a kit, they were feeling shaky, and Frecklespot tried walking in their dreams, seeing that Rainbow Kit had the power that she would love to get her greedy little paws on. But Osprey Claw literally kicked them into Snake Eye's dream, where they explained the situation. They were apprenticed to Micah Shatter and gathered moss on their first day out. They started as a compassionate apprentice, but I think they've been influenced by certain cats in their age range. They pranked Gold Dazzle, and then later they were named for their resilience. Sadly, they ended up falling off a cliff this year, and they broke their leg, so they have a permanent limp now. But they're not letting it hold them back. On a funny note, Rainbow Flare, Micah Shatter, and Scrappy insert suffix were telling ghost stories on a patrol where they all got spooked and ran back to camp. Great job, guys. Rainbow Flare seems to not be doing too much with their dream walking right now. Rainbow Flare mostly seems to be a playful prankster at the moment. Not a lot of cats actually know they can walk in dreams. Mostly the higher-ups and their former mentor Micah Shatter, along with an apprentice being an exception. But next up is the Guppy Scavenger Kits. And we have the 16-moon-old newly named Scrappy Cricket, who is bold, incredibly clever, and a good fighter. She was apprenticed to Rooster Tail, and they were the cats that found Chris, and Scrappy Paw was excited to make a new friend. Scrappy Paw has a tendency to get in trouble. She snuck out alone, and while the only thing that happened to her was she missed a rabbit, Rooster Tail ended up getting hurt. She tried to make it up to him by obediently following his orders after that, but then they had the argument over a technique where she shut up and listened after he demonstrated it. She was then training extra hard to impress him, but was a bit too rough and ended up a little bruised. She was a pawful, and they actually kind of don't like each other, so I think this was just a bad apprentice and mentor matchup. You can't win them all. But she did earn her name in the end, and since it's Scrappy Cricket, I like to think that she is very bouncy in her movements in general. She's obviously sad about her mom's dying, but I think her and her brother have a bit more acceptance surrounding it, just being the way life is. Because they honestly don't seem as phased as I would expect them to be. They're kind of like the Wigglebutt kids were. Speaking of, newly named Pete Main is loving and very clever. He was a childish apprentice when he was given to Hop as a mentor, and he ended up missing a bird on his first day, due to being a little too impatient. He had the thought of wanting to be a fierce warrior, but it seems he mellowed out a bit with age. Also, a Viper Clan cat named Splinter Jumble, whose side note is a secret murderer in that clan, caught him lost on their side of the border and sent him home crying. But he was named for his compassion at his ceremony, and he apparently took a clanmate out to a beautiful spot on the territory just for fun, which I feel like might have been Rainbow Flare or Berry insert suffix. During the harsh Leafbare, he caught Green Cough, and then he was scarred by badgers on the last moon of the year, just like his mom Guppy Shade. And what is with this family and getting giant scars along their side? Like I said, these two seem to be taking the death of their mom surprisingly well, all things considered. And I hope they stick around, they're fun. They're also not related to anyone in clan besides themselves, so that's cool. Next up is the 14-moon-old newly named Berry Dew, who is a confident, excellent teacher with natural intuition. As a kid, she refused to eat the herbs that the medicine cat gave her for her tummy, calling them gross. But in the end, they did cure her bellyache. She was annoyed that her den mates all became apprentices before her, and during her ceremony, it said she was stealing glances around the crowd, as if she was looking to find Hollow Star, so that kinda hurt. She was apprenticed to Firefog, which I was happy to see since she liked him a lot, and on their first day out, they found the injured turtle pelt. She didn't want to patrol with Scavenger Paw, finding her a bit too much at times. She was hoping the deputy would notice how well her training was going, but as she fell over again, not quite getting how to shift her weight with that move yet. She was disappointed seeing Ghost Snow seem to have his head in the clouds. She didn't let that keep her down though, because on the very next moon, her status was that she was sure that Firefog thinks that she's the best apprentice. And she was soaking up all the attention when she was named at 13 moons old. She also thinks she's the smartest cat in clan, and she's very cocky in general. She doesn't go on patrols that are too long or in too dangerous areas of the territory. And I skip anything in-game that I don't think she's physically able to do. But side note, paralyzed cats can move around pretty well. But she's honestly doing great, and I think she might have been touching noses with Tiny Stripe, the son of the J-Clan leader. Perhaps bonding over big expectations, as they both are children of leaders. So that's interesting. But onto our apprentices now. Starting with the Stone Lizard kits, here is the 10-moon-old sneaky Adderpaw, who is quick to make peace. She's also right about to become a warrior experience-wise, and seems to be ahead of her siblings by quite a bit. She started as a shy kit and played Moss Ball with herself, and this was the kit that Gustburst was hanging out with and got as an apprentice. But when she did become an apprentice, her personality switched to rebellious, and they chased away a small dog on their first day out, and she kind of seems to take Gustburst by surprise with her quick learning and skills in general, though neither of them were prepared for the badger that scarred Gustburst. As I said, I think Adderpaw has been a good influence on Gustburst in general, and Adderpaw is sad to have lost her sister Rockypaw, but she's determined to be a great warrior with her being the leader's kid and all. But yeah, she went from rebellious to sneaky, so I think she might be a pawful in the future. Who knows if her personality is going to change again. She also apparently had strange dreams on the last moon, and I looked around the Dark Forest and Star Clan, but couldn't really find what that might have been about. So now I'm kind of wondering what that was, or if it was just Rainbow Flare pranking her. We'll see. But next up is her adventurous brother Silverpaw, who is constantly climbing. He also rolled to have narcolepsy, which I then rolled for which type, since there are two main ones, and he has type 2 narcolepsy, which, to keep things simple, means that he experiences being sleepy in the daytime and doesn't have muscle weakness, or just sudden moments of passing out. He does still need to sleep more than the average cat, and he is more likely to fall asleep when doing something passive. He was shy as a kit, and Kale invited him to watch her work when they saw that he was talking to bugs. Stone Star was a little worried at first when she noticed her kit was overly tired all the time, thinking that maybe he was involved with the Dark Forest, but nope. Together with Kale, they help set up systems in place for when the drowsiness is getting to him, and things are going great so far. He was also pretending to be the clan leader as a kit, which was adorable. And he was apprenticed to his big brother Ghost Snow, and they used an eagle as a scout for catching fish on their first day out. And he also excels at leaping up rocky cliffs. Despite needing more naps than other cats, he definitely seems to have big goals. Also, this is the apprentice that knows about Rainbow Flare's dreamwalking, because they had them talk to each other when they were diagnosing Silver Kit's narcolepsy. But yeah, love this guy. On to his brother. The strange Gecko Paw is also constantly climbing, but with the addition of Confident with Words. And he was renamed via community poll. This is the one that used to be Vixen Kit. Thank you guys. He was an attention-seeking kit, and he tried to call a clan meeting before Kale oh so rudely interrupted him. He started as childish when he was apprenticed to Abyss Watcher, and he tried to show off on his first patrol, which ended up messing up the entire hunting. Thank you, Gecko Paw. He calmed down a bit as time went on, and he has been rethinking the warrior code after that slightly ominous speech that Abyss Watcher made about being willing to die for the code. His new mentor is Midnight Lilac, and they seem to get along okay. But experience-wise, he is the most behind in his litter, but I'm rooting for him. Next up, the now orphan kits of Gold Dazzle and Fuzzy Flake. Starting with the 8-moon-old ambitious Wishpaw, who splashes in puddles and also rolled to be autistic, which I am watching him closely in-game to see how it expresses for him personally, because autism is a spectrum. When he was really young, Kale was worried about him, and I believe helped to set up some accommodations to help him feel more comfortable. But Wish Kit was a know-it-all kit, which, if you know the game, that means he rolled so many statuses related to snails. He was shocked Gold Dazzle didn't know more about them, and told Pete Main a fact about snails, and another, So Wish Kit has a special interest in snails, which I think started because of their curly shells, and they reminded them of his tail. Wish Kit was also excited to go out and train, and Cragpaw caught him climbing too high as a kit. He was so excited when he was apprenticed to Rushwind and hoped to do something big to impress the clan on his first day out. But, blood warning in 3-2-1, they ran into a large dog and he actually lost an ear on his first day out and the pick is gone now. As mentioned earlier, Junko Paw and Oopsie Daisy came and helped him. And Wishpaw is having a hard time dealing with the change of only having one ear and having his hearing affected in general. Things aren't balanced now, and it bugs him. And then things got worse when he lost his mom, dad, brother, and mentor all at the same time during Leafbare. He does not handle change well, and that is way too much change. Gus Burst decided that he should have Gold Dazzle's bow, which he will sometimes pull over his head to make kind of makeshift headphones when he wants things to be a bit quieter. He's still ambitious and has big goals, but right now he's young and dealing with a lot of loss, and Stone Star herself took over his training after Rushman's death. Next up is his playful brother Icepaw, who always dreamed of becoming a mediator, so he was so excited to be apprenticed to Kale. So Icepaw is our newest mediator apprentice. He wouldn't stop making funny faces whenever Kale's back was turned, and Kale knew exactly what he was doing, but it kind of became a game of seeing if they could catch him. Icepaw seems to be exactly what Kale needed, and he makes her laugh. Icepaw's been helping his brother Wishpaw through his complicated emotions. Like I said, I think mediators have multiple roles beyond other clan communication and helping relations between cats. And I think they're taking on roles of therapists in general, where they're helping some cats one-on-one that really need it. But yeah, I'm excited for a playful mediator. He seems really fun. Also, one of the skills that he has is morbid curiosity, which turns into ghost-related traits. So I'm very interested in that for the future. But for now, let's head into the nursery. The 29-moon-old Micah Shatter is here watching her sister's 4-moon-old kits, the Impulsive Wasp kit and the Quiet Wren kit, who was also renamed via community poll. And real quick, I just have to point out that before renaming them, Stone Star had a kit named Vixen Kit, and Vixen Foot had Stone Kit. And that is hilarious to me, but yeah, I had to change the names. I didn't want them to keep names with cats that were alive at the time of their birth for no reason. But yeah, these are Vixen Foot and Bright Shatter's kits. Their dad's still in J-Clan, as I said, but he does have a chance of joining, so we'll see. As for Micah Shatter, she has had a packed year. You already heard some of the stuff she's been getting up to throughout the video, but she was worried about her younger sister Berry Kit early in the year, and I just want to say that this girl is in a loop of not acknowledging her trauma and choosing to help others / be a parental figure to them instead, so she doesn't have to worry about herself. She did it with Gus Kit / Paw. She did it with Berry Kit. She got Rainbow Paw as an apprentice and focused most of her attention on training them. She's dealing with the secret Swan Song told her and his complicated emotions. She also took Sleep Paw's place in a dawn patrol once so that he could sleep in instead. And now she's taken the role of literally being a parental figure and caring for her dead sister's kids. Someone make her go to therapy. Kale, come get her. Also, Gus Burst gave her red cardinal feathers, and I'm screaming because now she matches Hillfuzz, and both her and Vixenfoot had feathers, and it's too cute. But as mentioned, she told Pebblejoy her secret, and Swan Song overheard this, but she can't get herself to tell Stone Star yet. And she also never told Vixenfoot. Micah Shatter feels really bad because the two were fighting over their different secrets, but now her sister's gone. She's doing her best to take care of these two, but they're not the happiest for obvious reasons, and Wasp Kit, in particular, was immediately adamantly refusing to take his nap. Also, Micah Shatter no longer has a crush on Hop. She has no crushes in general, and part of me thinks that this is her backing out of the love triangle situation and basically saying Rooster Tail should go for it because her life's a mess. Little does she know they both like her now, so I'm kind of interested to see where that's going. But yeah, I really just want Micah Shatter to be happy and maybe focus on herself for a bit. And last up, we have the 55-moon-old Bubbling Mark, who is Oriole Chirp and Midnight Lilac's mate that joined after leaving Moss Clan. She was here for about a moon before announcing kits, and she really loves her boys. She was hoping for a big litter, but only had 2 kits that she loves so much still, though. Gold Dazzle reassured her that she's doing great, and Bubbling Mark actually caught Green Cough and was devastated at the death of World Kit. And now the 4-moon-old Polite Echo Kit is the Polycule's only kit, and they kind of all baby her. I'm really hoping that Bubbling Mark lives long enough to have a second litter because it seems like she wants a large family. Which, speaking of, her older sister Laurel Tuft in Moss Clan actually died, and she only has one living kin back in her old home, her littermate Icy Pelt, so hoping for the best for Bubbling Mark and GalaxyClan. And side note, after she left, a Moss Clan cat named Bluffstreak was seen touching noses of a GalaxyClan cat, And while they didn't have the best relationship tab, I think she might have just been saying hi because I cannot actually picture that cat romantically visiting anyone else that's in her age range. But speaking of the other clans, here's our leader lineup. Stone Star's down to 8 lives, but in Moss Clan, Thunderstar still has all 9. But his clan is a mess. With the help of a medicine cat, they did find out and exile one of the murderers. But don't worry, ClanGen made up for that by having 2 other cats become murderers in Moss Clan. They had a ton of deaths in general, and things are tense with J-Clan, who killed one of their warriors. And speaking of, Blue Star has been having a bad year. He was injured a lot and lost a life due to infection, getting down to 8. He also been having a lot of statuses about preparing cats for battle. He lost a son and a mate this year. Viper Clan took kits from their clan. Overall, not a good year. He kind of has beef with every clan right now. As for Viper Clan, Gardenia Star is a mess. She keeps having statuses related to kitty pets when Viper Clan hates them, and she hypocritically kicked out a cat who came back with a collar. She briefly dated a cat named Vervain Sheep before having a big fight and breaking up, and then she got rejected when she asked out her mediator and childhood friend. Like I said, very messy. Deputy-wise, we still have Ghost Snow, but Antlerstock is having a horrible time in Moss Clan. He had another litter, but more of his kits died this year, and to put it into perspective, he had 9 kits in general, and only 3 of them are currently alive. And he's not even that old of a cat. His last sibling also died this year, and Antlerstock has a broken bone. Honestly, it might be time for him to just step down as deputy. In J-Clan, Missile Dusk is doing better. She survived a broken bone with only a scar, and she still has her mate that she's mostly just been having cute dates with. Considering Blue Star has been injured most of the year, she was probably running things a bit more. And Freckleheart and Viper Clan is doing a bit better. Freckle Spot is still here, but she seems to be relaxing on the possession a little bit this year. But Freckleheart actually has a girlfriend and babies now. More Snipcloud grandkids. We love to see it. Very concerningly though, she was grabbed and dropped by an eagle right after having them, so that's not good. But you'll see one of her kits in a bit. For now, medicine cats. Todd has gained their full medicine cat status, and Cragpaw is here now too. In Moss Clan, Sporefern was found out to be a murderer, so he got exiled. And Sadie Curl was the one who figured it out, and he told Thunderstar. Tin Man is also a new face that joined Moss Clan with his 2 kits. And Goose Lotus earned his full name. Unfortunately, Goose Lotus also murdered someone with death berries. He did kill one of the murderers though, so I think he found out what he did and thought it would be easier to kill them and try to spare his loved ones the knowledge. We'll see how he acts next year. Overall, still not a good thing to do. J-Clan-wise, Quiverstripe retired and Ratsplinter died, which makes me extremely sad. He just went missing in the night with a bunch of other cats. And the head medicine cat is now Skipfluff, who is self-conscious and has been dealing with a lot of love struggles. She asked out a cat who rejected her, and then she started liking another cat, and he got a mate immediately. And then the cat that rejected her earlier in the year died. Polly is an option, but you know. Anyway, here's Mr. Kittypool, who is the cat that I mentioned she liked and then got a mate. He joined the clan already wearing cat mint and ready to be a medicine cat, and I kind of love him. As mentioned, he did just get a mate. And in Viper Clan, Clear Runner retired. Rook Whisker joined, and this stinker had kits in J-Clan that he took to Viper Clan away from their mom, Jenny. Moon Ember came back from being lost, and she was welcomed back. Again, a little bit of hypocrisy on Gardenia Star's side. Why kick out one cat when you let Moon Ember back? And Stork Rain was given his full name. And I also noticed that he has a crush on a cat named Slipfish, who secretly has killed someone as well. Like I said, a lot of murder. So hoping he doesn't really get dragged into that, but I kind of love him too much to go down a bad path. We'll see. Mediator-wise, Kale is happy again, and we now have Icepaw. However, over in Moss Clan, Tetrastripe has done a very bad. He killed someone. A really young warrior in his clan, and I have no idea why he did it, but he pushed her off a cliff. And he seems to be trying to blame J-Clan. Also, his highest dislike in clan now is Bubbling Mark's sister, so I'm a little scared. J-Clan still has no mediator, so on to Viper Clan. Okerthorn is still here, and they rejected Gardenia Star as they saw her completely platonically. But after the confession, I have noticed that they do now have a romance bar on her, so I'm kind of rooting for it in the future. These two have platonic like that is almost maxed out, and they were both clan founders in game, so they've been, like, together for a while. But Okerforn has an apprentice named Dawnpaw, who is one of Freckleheart's kits. She's only 6 moons old, but she already switched careers because she was originally a warrior, but she wondered if this was the right path at her ceremony. And then she missed prey and wasn't having a good time. So we as chat and stuff decided that she wanted to switch to becoming a mediator. So we'll see how she does next year. But yeah, that is year 20. Wow, we lost so many cats, and a lot of our warriors are on the younger side, but honestly, I'm really attached to this generation in general. I feel like they have a lot of like standout personalities and stuff, and they all have like different dramas they're dealing with. And I'm really excited and scared to see where they all go from here. Despite all the loss, I'm really proud of how Stone Star is handling things so far. But I do fear any future wars we might get into, considering we lost a lot of our senior warriors. There's also way too many bloodlines barely hanging on by like 1 or 2 cats. Swansong is carrying the Bug Clan and Sleek Clove traits. Cragpaw is the last Lavender Wisp descendant. Roostertail is the last Wigglebutt kit. Snake Eye and Rainbow Flare are the last carriers of Branch Deer traits. I really feel like we're sadly going to lose some of these traits and bloodlines soon, and I'm not really prepared. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching and supporting this series all the way to year 20. I really appreciate it. I also appreciate everyone who brought the Pride merch off of Redbubble. And as I said, look out for an asexual Todd sticker, semi-soon. I'll make a community post when I do make it. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Reminder, the upload schedule is now the first Sunday of each month, so I'll see you all in August with year 21. Check out all the links below, and it's the 4th of July when I'm recording this, so I need to wrap up this audio before the fireworks start. Joy! And I'll see you guys next time. Peace!